in the American, and we are treated to an incredible matchup early in the season between the Knights and the Mustangs.
Big picture, you look at these two teams, the fact they've collided for championships the last 2 years, you think about a rivalry. Obviously, they're not their first stab at a rivalry, whereas you have the war on I-4. I know UCF will point to those Bulls as being their top rival, and for SMU, it's all about recruiting and protecting the Dallas area, and Tulsa is one of the teams most likely to try to reach in and grab some players. We talk about McLaughlin being from OKC. It's always a goal of SMU to grab a couple of the top players out of the state of Oklahoma every year as well. But this isn't too bad when you can have two top 25 programs that continue to collide each year, and you often figure it'll certainly help determine who's going to host the postseason tournament. This ball sent to the edge of the 18 as the pass sent through. Could not link up with McLaughlin there as the Knights get organized in time.
Knights doing a good job getting numbers behind the ball. You see what SMU likes to do. It is quick 1-2 touch passing. SMU, such great talent in the Lone Star State. You mentioned north of the Red River as well. Players coming from Oklahoma, including Harry McLaughlin, the former Oklahoma State Player of the Year. Now with the FC Dallas Academy, Dynamo, and Houston, getting some absolutely outstanding talent, players that have that professional pedigree.
A variety of Mustangs have moved on to the next level, MLS and the USL Championship over the past couple of years. It's been fun to watch them continue their careers as the ball back to center for SMU with Philip Ponder making his 7th start.
You're going to see a lot of press here, and you saw that from Jennings just in the face of his opposite number. And Ponder has turned it over. We'll see if that pressure can build something, can find something for the Knights.
Evie with a quick tap and go. As this will stick around here on this end. As you saw, that ball contested and winds up taking out that left foot.
And lucky didn't end up in the book there. Coming through, got enough contact, says our referee. He would have bounced back up. Louis Perez, the junior from France.
Part of the 3-man French connection in Orlando these days. They'll send it in the 18, trying to find Perez. His shot goes all of a couple of yards inside the 18, but nothing doing.
A lot of local talent for SMU from Texas, from Oklahoma. They have a sprinkling of international players as well, and certainly more of an international roster for the Knights. You mentioned the 3 from France, also 3 from Costa Rica.
Yeah, in Texas, when you talk about north of the border, you're talking about the Red River. As for the Mustangs, it will be Makela who will get the start. We've also seen Shane Lanson with 6 starts this year. Makela just has allowed 1 goal so far. That's a .35 goals against average. He has stopped 90% of the shots that have come his way. A great presence. And I know when you call somebody a game manager, that is taken as a slight, but not the case with Makela. Really keeps those troops organized on the back line.
He does. He's great with his feet. He reads the game well. He keeps everyone organized in defensive shape. So important.
Conversely, Yannick Ertl, your Iron Man in goal. Your preseason goalkeeper of the year after he claimed that honor last season for his work in goal with the .97 goals against average. He played every minute last year. He has played every minute so far this year. He only allowed 6 goals in American play a year ago.
Both these teams like to possess. They will go through the phases, take their time, very methodical in their attack. See that from SMU. If it's not there, they'll turn around, they'll push it back to maintain possession.
Right now working in front of the SMU bench. Over the top, just looking for a miscue. Ertl, the pride of Munich, Germany. We'll send this back up the spine.
SMU not traditionally a long ball team. They're not going to send that route 1 over the top and try to get somebody to run onto it. They prefer to play out to the wings and then send it in.
UCF has outscored their opposition in the opening half 12-3. Not to be outdone, SMU 17-1 in the opening 45 minutes. But it's consistency for the Knights now. 7 straight matches they've scored a goal in the first 15 minutes. What's in jeopardy right now is they have 4 straight matches now with a goal in the first 7 minutes. and the clock is ticking.
That's going to be a lot harder to keep up that streak against a team that has conceded just 3 goals all year in the Mustangs. You pair that with 31 scored, and that is just an absolutely incredible ratio.
Turn to center, back to the center circle. As the ball quickly touched by Yanis Learman, your center back. You see the sea of Mustangs, but unable to reclaim possession here as the ball to Villalobos Vega.
Now UCF a chance to knock things around, but as you so correctly said, wall of red shirts and an optimistic attempt at best. That one coming from well outside the 18, unable to put it on the goal of Makela.
Scott Calabrese, we mentioned, has been able to coach with a lead most of these matches from a very early standpoint. Last year claimed that #1 seed by virtue of the tiebreaker of beating SMU head-to-head in the regular season. So his Knights, of course, got the opening round off. Then the semifinals, able to punch their ticket in a comeback. And ultimately would fall in that shootout in the championship in Orlando.
We had the opportunity to speak with him earlier this week. He mentioned that non-conference schedule, taking on teams like Wake Forest at UNC, and how much they learned in those early season games against top talent.
Let's check in with Chris.
Lincoln, you mentioned that early strike capability for UCF. Coach Scalabrese saying they don't necessarily aim to do that early on. Of course, they want to do it early and often as far as getting one in the back of the net, but it does put a lot of pressure on the other side. Calabrese hopes they can continue to do it. They're a dangerous team when they can attack the way they want. Whether that's happening in the first minute or the 90th minute, his team trying to do the same thing.
They almost gave up an early goal. Munjoma pushes forward from his back line, the senior from right here in the Dallas area out of McKinney, looking for what would have been his 7th goal of the year. He is not your typical defensive-minded player.
The senior came through the Lone Star Academy here in the Metroplex, 7 goals, but you pair that with 5 assists, that's second on the team, and he is a dual threat in every sense.
We saw a UCF giveaway a moment ago that preceded that stroke, but gave SMU an opportunity.
SMU has the firepower up front. McLaughlin has not had the opportunity, hasn't seen much of the ball, but Allander, Munjoma getting chances.
UCF toppled Temple in their only conference matchup so far. That was a 2-0 affair as UCF's been finding ways to overcome the fact that most teams by now know how to scout them. But the Knights still find ways to break down the opposing defense that often can try to sit back and just park the bus and try to hold out for a 0-0 affair.
And the success for SMU, not just this season, their 9 straight wins, the best start of any American men's team in league history. But they've won 16 of the last 18, dating back to last season. Their last regular season loss came to this UCF side.
All sent into the 18, off the right boot of Vivi, the freshman from Costa Rica out of San Jose. And another look.
Good stuff right there. Able to go through Chino Vivi, freshman midfielder.
It was Talon Maples, who grew up just north of Austin, Texas, in Leander. Able to get his body on that without committing the handball.
Vivi's been a huge part of this team, a massive impact as a freshman. Coach praising him. He says he combines well, hardworking. As a freshman, making an impact at this level speaks volumes.
Doza, who redshirted last year, finally his freshman campaign underway this year. Out of Phoenix. Slamming on the brakes within 20 yards. Where will the next shot come from for the Knights? Munjoma pokes it away, and the Knights never able to pull the trigger.
And for all the talk about the Mustangs offense, the defense is equally impressive, and giving them opportunities to get set, that is not going to be the ticket. You have to strike quickly, move the ball. When the men in red keep their shape, they're able to clog those passing lanes. It is very difficult once you get inside the 18.
Evan Hudson expects Munjoma to be the next Mustang at the next level in MLS. This ball chipped from 35 yards out as it ultimately carried to that far post. It'll wind up still on the feet of Vivi.
Today was decision day in MLS, and I have a feeling Munjoma will be a part of that next year, if not playing abroad somewhere.
Earsman to the top of the 18. Mustangs still not in the clear. They avoid giving up the set piece.
Great job from Bertelli, the sophomore from Norway. He had the man on his back. He made sure not to make any contact, didn't give up the corner, and simply a goal kick.
So Makela back in goal. Junior out of Destin, Florida. Has only had to come up with 9 saves coming into tonight. Of course, Kevin Hudson, back-to-back championship years with SMU. Beautiful step through, but the numbers game adds up here for the Knights. With that said, it's back on the feet of Costa. They'll play on.
What a job Costa. He's able to win it back, but then he was looking for the foul. You could tell he was hoping he was going to get the whistle. Did not. Just on the initial run, a touch too many. We have 3 defenders there. That means there's a teammate open to lay it off to.
We are in Dallas, and you heard the displeasure that no whistle was blown there.
Sorkin, the junior from Israel, arms up, and certainly no contact or no illicit contact coming from number 8 in gray.
SMU was able to keep the prolific attack of Central Arkansas to a grand total of 0 goals in the midweek matchup. 3-0 the final in that one. Of course, the Knights, they had a bit of an obstacle with Florida Atlantic, but able to find a late goal. 3-2 the victory over FAU. Mustangs looking for that early advantage, as Munjoma saw that one climb up his shin. And this one is going to stay with SMU. There is the former Mustang and now the Chief Mustang, Kevin Hudson, in his 5th year as coach. And obviously when you're at SMU, where tuition can be a little steep, in the sport of men's soccer, you are looking for intelligent young men who can try to find academic scholarships to help aid their ability to go through 4 years here in Dallas. As this ball sent in back post, as able to pass the test there is Ertl. But both of these teams recognized nationally this past week for their academic success.
Yeah, so impressive what they're able to do, not just on the pitch, but in the classroom as well. True student athletes in every sense of the word. And as busy as they are, as many hours a week they put in training, traveling, and still to have the success in the classroom. Incredible stuff. Hats off.
Of course, last year was probably the biggest loss in talent for SMU from a team that produced a handful of professionals in goal and on that back line. And then last year, Quaisho joined the fold as well, and yet that was not going to be an excuse for SMU last year. They still stepped up with a 5-1-1 mark in conference play.
They're no down years for the Mustangs. A team that has had as much success as they have throughout the years. It's about getting back to it. You may not have the talent one year, but the expectations, the bar always set so high.
SMU last year mastered the ability to win ugly, if you will.
Either side having much of no real fantastic opportunities for either side through the first quarter of an hour. Still trying to figure out weaknesses. A heavyweight fight between the Knights and the Mustangs.
You know, if you want to talk about grinding it out last year, even though UCF was your number 1 seed and hosted that conference tournament, decimated by some injuries in that rematch, still able to force the 1-1 draw that ultimately would slip away in the shootout. As Makela still possessing here inside half an hour of this opening half. So UCF, who had scored a goal in 4 straight matches in the first 7 minutes, 7 straight matches in the first 15. Both of those marks will go to the wayside, but I have a feeling that's not what they're focused on right here. We do have a handball called against Perez. Let's see what the Mustangs can do with a set piece here.
And you heard Chris earlier when he asked that question of Coach Scalabrese. He said that's not something we focus on. It's great, and we're happy to score early, but having a streak of scoring as many goals in the first 7 or 15 minutes. That is not something we put on the bulletin board in the locker room. It is simply about getting results.
A little chat with Sorokin, and this is going to set up a quality opportunity for the Mustangs to strike first here at home.
Knut Allander set to take it.
Allander found that final goal against Central Arkansas, his 4th on the year. Another look at the infraction. Back to live play. And this will get away from SMU. Ertl will never see a shot.
Missed opportunity there from Taylor, the sophomore, local product out of Capel here in the DFW Metroplex, transfer from New Mexico. In that situation, you have to put it into the mixer, put it in a dangerous area just inside the 18, see if you can get ahead to it. Neither one of these goalkeepers tested thus far.
Costa and the Mustangs able to get it within the final 6 yards, but not enough behind it from Allander before the Knights were able to intervene.
A beautiful link play. Costa off the outside of the boot, a knifing ball in, but Allander just could not get the contact. He left his feet. He may have been better served to try to put a head to that one.
Off of Hernandez, sets up this corner. And the Knights able to step up with the first contact. Trying to build a counter opportunity here. Likely won't be afforded to them just yet, despite the pursuit from Vivi.
Well defended by UCF, getting numbers there quickly.
Back to Talon Maples. Great work capacity. Always motivating himself to get better. Maples has really been an engine for this team. And just a junior. Another year of eligibility left. We are scoreless here on the American Digital Network with our live coverage of top 25 SMU and UCF. SMU is ranked as high as number 2 in the nation. Their worst ranking at number 4 right now. UCF in the top 15, as high as number 11. And here they collide, and Dallas at the moment knotted up at zeros. As this ball back with Learman.
Learman did a fantastic job. He read that ball perfectly. He knew where the Mustangs wanted to send it to the top of the box. He was able to get there first.
Looking for a miscue on that back line from the Mustangs. There is none this time.
That's going to be hard to find from a back line that has combined 170 starts. Mujoma with a 51, and Maples, you mentioned previously, with 47. A lot of talent and a lot of experience on the back line for SMU.
And SMU's outscored their opponents this year 31-3. Only one first half goal conceded. From the wing. As Munjoma does enough in company to slow down that effort.
That poor service. You had men in dangerous area inside the 18, unable to find anyone.
Costa putting on a show for the fans.
That is Jogo Bonito in every sense from the Rio native.
20 minutes complete between UCF and SMU. Last year in Orlando, the Knights prevailing 2-0. And that was your difference. Still on this one. Ball on his right foot. They'll pin ball around. Knights still not in the clear just yet. Shot from 16, Ertl shuts it down.
Fantastic save from the Bavarian, the junior, able to get there. Low, hard-driven ball. Right now, UCF, they need to figure out a way to put a man on Costa, and maybe two, because the Brazilian, he is definitely the most dangerous on the attack for SMU early here.
Just a sophomore, comes over from the West Coast, where he was at Azusa Pacific. Part of that transfer portal, where just about everybody was clamoring for him. Kevin Hudson was the coach who landed him. Another look at the last opportunity for the Mustangs with Munjoma.
Ball out to Munjoma, low driven, looking for the far post. Huge save from Ertl. You see what Costa brings. just slippery, and that is a great compliment for a player. He's able to find space where there seemingly is none.
So despite claiming the last 2 postseason titles, SMU found themselves again picked to finish second in this league behind UCF. Both teams would go on to the NCAA tournament last year, each with a first-round exit. SMU would go up to Corvallis, fall to Oregon State 2-1, while UCF would fall to Lipscomb in overtime in that first round. Coincidentally, SMU opened its season this year against Lipscomb with a 3-0 victory, the first of now 9 straight wins. Not just 9 straight unbeaten, but SMU's come away with the victory every match so far. Play on. Knights, even numbers. That ball will never reach the line of Makela.
What a tackle. Absolutely fantastic. Went to ground, and when you go to ground, particularly in that situation, in that place of the field, you have to win it.
Taylor will see this one slip away. And simply a goal kick for Ertl.
And it's very obvious the quality, the caliber that Gabriel Costa has with the ball in his boots, but I don't know that he's going to be able to go through the entire UCF defense. After he beats a man or two, he'd be well served to lay it off to an open teammate and then look for the return pass.
Midway through the opening half, which of these 2 sides will find the difference maker? I know there's concern when SMU has a set piece. We've only seen 1 corner so far from the home side.
That's been one of the real strengths this year. 49 corners. They've only conceded 22.
Nice feed, still dangerous. It'll be headed wide. But a quality opportunity for the Knights. Makela will squeeze it in just outside his frame.
In the last few years, we've seen more and more goals coming via set pieces, less through the run of play. And that's not just in collegiate soccer, but at every level. SMU has really taken to that.
I believe it was VB looking for his 3rd goal a moment ago on the year. Dean, 5th-year senior from Macon, Georgia. Trying to thread it into Dean. And throwing just enough of an obstacle in front of him is Henrik Verdelli. Your sophomore out of Norway by way of Chapel Hill, transferring from North Carolina.
The patience of SMU, all the red shirts behind the ball. They're content to let UCF send that one out for the goal kick.
Louis Perez was hoping to have somebody to link up with there on the backside. Meanwhile, you're looking at Nick Taylor, who's made all 10 starts now this year. A constant in his sophomore campaign, as you noted, out of Coppell, the Dallas area. Really has fit in well with the personality of this team.
For SMU, almost a bend but don't break mentality defensively. When the ball gets into the final third, then you will see them attack. You will see them press out, but they're content to let opponents knock things around in the center third.
So our fall sports coverage already well underway here on ADN, and I feel like we're cheating a little bit. With our women's coverage, we began with USF in Memphis. The other night in volleyball, we got UCF at Cincinnati. Tonight, we've got these 2 heavyweights going at it as well. The schedule maker is putting a lot of huge matchups at the start of conference play in these fall sports, and this is what we still have to come this month of October, including some championships beginning in November.
This is just for the benefit of the fans, to be able to witness matches like this. You said, obviously, that USF Memphis women's soccer match, and then tonight here in Dallas, heavyweights in men's soccer going at it early in the conference season, a fan's dream.
Well, we mentioned that soccer's not the only undefeated program here on campus. With more on that, here's Chris.
Yeah, Lincoln, most of the SMU football team made their way over here to Westcott Field after their team meal tonight. Of course, last night, an amazing ball game right next door at Ford Stadium. The Mustangs trailed by 21 to Tulsa in the 4th quarter, rallied back to earn the win in triple overtime. And this morning in the new Associated Press poll, Ponies are up to 21st in the nation.
Yeah, it's been quite the run an exciting time on campus. You got Shane Bouchel leading that offense for the Mustangs, firing on all cylinders. You got the stop there from Makela. It will be a corner kick, though, here for Sorokin. Preseason all-conference, the midfielder out of Israel sends it in. Shot from 19 will go wide. But ultimately, after Kevin Hudson saw his Mustangs with the opportunities early, vulnerable there.
I don't think Coach Hudson pleased with what he saw there. Makela came off his line. He punched it straight up into the air. The ball remained in the 18 and it trickled to the top of the box, where Barry, the junior from Paris, found him, but he couldn't put it on frame. And better from UCF these last few minutes. They're seeing more of the ball. They're having more opportunities on the offensive end.
Of course, this is a Sunday evening match, and what a difference it makes once that sun sets. Technically, it's fall, but I think we forgot to get the message to that giant flaming star.
That's just how things are in the Lone Star State, but a prime-time matchup and befitting the occasion with these two teams.
Knights have looked good through the run of play as of late. Opportunity from 15 out. Again, takes a deflection, this time off the backside of Tervega.
Tervega, another native Texan transfer from UCLA, did the smart thing, just kept his body between the ball and the goal, and he saw the shot coming, was able to come up with the deflection.
Tervega, his first collegiate stop was over at UCLA in the Pac-12. Has a big career ahead of him as well, in the eyes of his head coach. Mustangs back line has pushed this ball now into the offensive half, trying to work up the spine. They'll give it back.
SMU does a great job keeping their shape. They move forward, they move back as a unit, all 10 field players together. It's so hard to do, particularly when you're back defensively and you try to counter. May have a forward or a few midfielders coming up, but SMU always able to do so in unison.
Each goalkeeper has officially been tested once here in the opening half. Each has had a passing grade as well, as we are scoreless with 16.5 to go in this first half. Lincoln Rose, Kip McConico, Chris Majkowski with you. This will be the lone regular season meeting between these two. Nobody's going to be surprised if they collide again in the American postseason. The conference play is still young. We won't get ahead of ourselves just yet, but soccer being the first sport to start each fall around the country, we get into conference play so quickly, and all of a sudden, we're crowning a tournament champion before you know it. Toss from Taylor. A good one. Almost as valuable as a set piece.
Those long throws utilized well by SMU. Able to put in a dangerous area.
And you send that ball in just hoping UCF makes a mistake, but no such luck this time, as Ertl quickly tries to get things restarted.
You'd like to see more of this from UCF, particularly when SMU has numbers committed forward. Maybe catch them in the counter.
Ball on that wing. Mustangs have numbers back, but unable to strip that ball away.
That Mustang defense just so poised. Even when it looks like they've gotten themselves in a bad position, they're able to find a way out of it.
Maples will tap it back. Final 15 minutes of this opening half as we are a half hour in. UCF, your preseason favorites. A 7-1-1 start. They opened the year at number 4 Wake Forest. They fell 2-1, and I think they look back and think that was a winnable match. And certainly the next one was they would make the trek over to Chapel Hill and knock off the number 6 Tar Heels. They would play to a draw against Penn State, and since then they've rattled off 6 straight wins, now 8 straight unbeaten for the Knights against the perfect SMU Mustangs at 9-0.
Both these teams tops in the country for a reason. They can play with anybody. Right now, scoreless with just over 14 minutes remaining in the first half. I think the Knights have to be pretty pleased, even though they haven't scored early, which they've done so often this year, to have this draw on the road.
They finally tilted the pitch in their favor here in the latter minutes of the opening half.
Exactly right. They've been better these last few minutes and working themselves back into this match after SMU looked the better of the sides early.
Sorokin. Oh, they love the calmness of the junior from Israel. And finally, the Mustangs back on it. Anticipation builds with those in attendance cheering on SMU. They'll keep it playable on that far wing thanks to the pursuit from McLaughlin. 8 goals this year for Garrett.
No support there. He was in a 1-on-2 situation, couldn't get by the defenders, and he hasn't seen much of the ball. Maybe a handful of times that number 7 in red has had the ball at his boots. And when he does, Knights defense quick to close him down.
Never know how somebody will respond after being out with an injury, but McLaughlin really loving the game as he back to 100%. This opportunity from 30, almost the same spot that Emil Quaisho would snag that title away from UCF 2 years ago in the championship. As the Knights were looking to land the opening blow, but ultimately off the mark, wide of the front.
One All-American to another. Jennings looking for the assist to the top of the box. Perez. Jennings did a fantastic job tracking this one down, able to keep it in play. And looking for the outside of the boot, trying to send that one into the side of the net.
A little too much English off the shoelaces.
One of the better opportunities we've seen from UCF. But you said it, both these goalkeepers forced into just a single save thus far, and that's a shot you want to put on goal. See if Makela can come away with it cleanly. Maybe he allows a rebound. You've got someone there to pounce on it for the opener.
Knights again with Vivi. SMU keeps their red kits organized. Where will that first goal come from? And that's going to be a handball against Sorokin.
Sorokin trying to say it came off the shoulder. I think he has a reason. But a chance for SMU to slow things down, catch their breath, get things organized. You see Costa, a few words from his head coach.
Kevin Hudson still looks like he could come in for 45 minutes in the second half. As you see the captain's armband on Maples. Among the Mustangs preseason all-conference coming into this year. Well, the Mustangs, as any team would want with UCF, just wanted to deny opportunities inside the box. We've seen UCF get a couple of looks, but Knights at times settling from shots 20, 25, 30 yards out. Opportunity and a precision tackle taking that one away from McLaughlin.
Oh, what a tackle. I believe that was Learman. Just outstanding. He timed it perfectly. A great through ball threaded to McLaughlin from Allander, and a Learman. That is a tackle that if you don't make perfectly, the referee's going to point to the spot.
Learman, one of your center backs, along with Hernandez this year for the Knights. Coming through. Taylor with the toss. Can they test Ertl? Ball is right where they want it with McLaughlin. Chip to the top of the 18, trying to advance. It was Ponder with the header. This one's still with SMU. Top 5 team in the nation. As high as number 2. As never able to get that right boot on the ball. Tervega, the closest Mustang. And the Knights with a counter opportunity. And a foul on UCF. As Munjoma went down.
And Munjoma going down, the foul from Mendoza. And Mendoza will take another look, but it appeared initially, and I'm going to say he's lucky that he doesn't end up in the book for this one. A lot of Munjoma, very little of the ball.
Makela will handle the kick outside the area. And his stop earlier in this match, just the 10th save required of him this year.
Pretty much what we expected to see. Didn't think this was going to be a shootout, a 3-4 game with these two teams so evenly matched. Either side making mistakes. Both sides biding their time, waiting for a real opportunity. They haven't been many in the first half.
Eyeing this one. Makela puts his body in front of it, believing it took a deflection off a Mustang, not wanting to give up the corner.
A nice quick restart from Makela.
SMU poised to make the first substitution of the night as we are inside 8 minutes to go here in the first half. And just looking for a crack in that defense of UCF. But the Knights come through.
SMU electing to play down that center spine. I'd like to see them maybe go to the width a bit, use the full space allotted. See if they can stretch out that UCF defense and find some space.
I believe Lane Warrington will be the first man off the bench for the Mustangs. And the next option play. 7 minutes to go. We are still scoreless in Dallas. Both meetings last year in Orlando. We'll chip this one in from 30. Makela able to get his feet planted and keep that ball outside the goal line.
Routine for Makela, never any trouble.
6'4" keeper, great wingspan. He hasn't been tested yet.
And that's when you have to imagine just overcooked a bit. Instead of trying to get it to the top of the 6, it was right at the goal line. No one in gray there to trouble Makela.
Taylor centers the ball. Well, if these two teams take care of business throughout the season, the format change of the conference tournament won't affect them. We'll have more on that in just a moment. Out on the wing, sent in. Ertl off the post as it stayed in play.
Ertl maybe not anticipating that one. Got a piece of the woodwork. He had the wherewithal to be able to punch it away.
So the Knights avoid giving up a goal on one end. Now come back knocking on the threshold of Makela and the Mustangs. So the top 2 seeds will continue to get the opening round off in the men's tournament here in the American. But the 3 and 4 seed will each host the opening round on their respective campuses. Everybody will then move on to the semifinals at one common site on the campus of the number 1 seed. As recently as last year, the top seed hosted all 3 rounds. We will have all coverage regardless right here on the American Digital Network of those early rounds. Inside the 18 and just off the mark. Knights perhaps with one of their most dangerous opportunities building up there as we enter the final 5 minutes. And for the first time off the bench, Lane Warrington and DJ Williams each making their 10th appearances on the year.
What a chance that was from UCF. A beautiful cutback, found Vivi. Vivi just skied it over the crossbar.
No surprise, these two are the first changes. Again, they've been in every match so far. The sophomore Warrington out of Lawton, Oklahoma. Williams down the road at Fort Worth, now in his senior campaign.
McLaughlin Taylor getting a well-deserved break. Maybe an extended halftime for those two. Anticipate seeing them both in the second half.
First chance to land on the ball. as they'll take it away from Williams.
A good no call there. Williams just running up on the UCF defender. Appears a bit worse for wear after the collision.
DJ hoping to pounce on a miscue.
Looking for a spark up top. Williams can bring something. McLaughlin, not a lot of opportunities. He was shut down quickly when he did have the ball.
Can either side find a difference maker here in the final 3.5 minutes of this first half?
Oh, that would be huge if either team was able to go into the locker room with a lead. So far it's been even.
Neither side has spent much time trailing this year. Sorokin. And this will be a throw for SMU. SMU last year, 10 wins, would go 10-5-3. So, mind you, if they win tonight, they've already matched last year's win total. Another double-digit campaign with Kevin Hudson at the helm. UCF right now sitting on 7-1-1. Last year had a 13-3-3 mark, with that final loss coming in the first round of the NCAA tournament. Chipped in, but nobody to play with, and no mistake from Makela.
It's abundantly clear that neither one of these teams, they're not playing tense, but they understand what's at stake, and neither one willing to make a mistake. Because of that, we're not seeing either side gamble at all. They're keeping things in that center third. They realize what going down, conceding the opener in a match like this could mean.
Look forward to having a chance to hear from both head coaches at halftime, as Chris Mikoski will have a chance to catch up with each of our two managers. Final 90 seconds to go right now in a scoreless affair in this first half.
I have a feeling Coach Hudson, he will be a little less pleased with the first half performance, considering his Mustangs here at home.
You hear that beat of the drum cheering on the Mustangs. They had the opportunities early in this match. UCF has certainly appeared to level the playing field in the latter minutes of this half. Final 60-second stretch. Mustangs push forward, trying to create a little chaos inside the 18. Able to turn and fire. It'll go high and wide off the boot of Nicky Hernandez.
An incredible run from Hernandez, the local product from right here in Dallas. He went right up the middle of the pitch, was able to spin away from a would-be tackle. The ball deflecting off the heel of a defender right back to him. But another opportunity sent over the crossbar.
Of the junior from Dallas, Kevin Hudson notes that Hernandez at any given moment can be the best player on the pitch. Quality chance here still to drive one home on the corner. Header bounces. Ertl with the save just in time. I believe that was Thomas Haney able to get a head on it. Your 6'3" sophomore. But Ertl keeps us level at zeros after 45 minutes of play.
Great goalkeeping from both teams. I think a fair result at the end of the first half, as we are scoreless between the Knights and the Mustangs.
A little show of respect between the two sides. Let's send it down to Chris. He's with Kevin Hudson, head coach of SMU.
All right, Lincoln, thanks very much. Coach, Hernandez denied as well as the corner kick at the end of the half. What do you do to open up more offensive chances in the second half?
Yeah, we got to do a better job keeping the ball. When we defend deep and we finally secure the ball, sometimes we're in a bit too much of a hurry to go forward. Got to find our wingbacks a little bit better, and I think it comes with our 10s dropping a little deeper to get the ball. So I think if we keep the ball a little better and pin them deep, we can create a few more chances.
We talked a lot about the backline brotherhood in our conversation earlier this week, selling out and doing a good job to deny opportunities for USF.
Sure.
CF, rather.
Sure. I mean, that's something we've always done well, and put an emphasis on our ability to block shots and close space and deny opportunities at our goals. So we're happy with the way we shut that down, but there's more to us and how we play and build the game forward.
Appreciate it very much. Lincoln, as we wrap up our conversation, the rain's starting to fall a little bit harder here in Dallas. We'll see how that changes in the second half.
Yeah, Chris, thank you very much. The sky's starting to open up. Will scoring start to open up in the second half? We step aside for the midway break in Dallas. You're watching American Men's Soccer here on the American Digital Network. A couple of final chances, but Ertl helps keep UCF and SMU even at zeros.